Jacques Nienaber's squad for November for the Springboks was out a couple of days ago. Had a look through the squad. It's one of the kind of smaller squads, I guess, but they only have the 3 fixtures. Some other teams are playing more games. It's a largely stable squad. We'll go over the squad. There's a couple of new faces. There's a fair few guys out with injuries, to be fair. The list of omitted players, you could probably talk for a day and then some about the list of guys who could, should, or would be in the Springbok squad but are not. And then, the fixtures as well. So the propping stocks are pretty much the same. There's no new faces there. Kok, Dutoy, Inyakane, Oxenche, and Kitsov. Dutoy was kind of let go back to the Sharks after the start of the Rugby Championship, so I guess he is kind of a recall. But Malherbe is out with a neck injury. He is one of the many guys unavailable due to injury. So it's a relatively experienced lot. I mean, Ox is the least experienced guys with 6 caps. Dutoy's got 13, but got a couple of 50-plus cap guys there as well, and Inyakane and Kitsov. So still the kind of same impressive propping stocks without the likes of Malherbe there too. So pretty strong looking. Hookers, you got Marks, Mbunambi, and Dweba. So that's kind of the same. That's the same guys you saw in the Rugby Championship. The 2 guys with like almost 50 caps in Mbunambi and Marks, and then Dweba with just the 1. So fingers crossed he gets a few more minutes because, I don't know, we didn't see a heck of a lot of new faces. We did see some, and Jacques talked about it in his kind of press conference, some of the guys that they have brought into the squad, since the British and Irish Lions series. And there are a few guys, the likes of, Dweba and, Visa and guys like this have kind of been brought in. But, Dweba with just the 1 cap obviously needs a bit more time. Locks, you got Etzebeth, Ori, Morat has come in. Diaka, and then Franco Mostert is kind of your utility guy. I think they've listed him as a lock loose forward. They have played him in both recently. Obviously, Achia Snyman did his ACL again. Terrible luck for that guy. So he's one guy who couldn't be selected. So Morat is one of the new faces. I feel like he's been with the Stormers since 2018? He's only 23, so he's come along pretty well. He's been playing at a high level since a pretty young age, so he's coming along pretty nicely. Good to get him in the mix. Ori's only got 7 caps, and then you got the stalwart guys like Diaka, 53 caps, Etzebeth, 94 caps. So a good mix of youth and experience. They're never down on the old locking stocks, are the Springbok guys. Lucy's, Quokka Smith, Van Staden, Kolisi, Visa, and Vermeulen as well. So none of the Dupree guys are there. Obviously, Peter Steff is another one whose injury is going to keep him out of the game for quite some time. Rus from the Stormers has looked the business thus far. I thought he might have been a guy to kind of bring in, but I guess if Visa's only got 8 caps, maybe they kind of want to focus on developing him first. And I guess Rus will get his time at some point, but I don't know. He just seems the business from what I've seen him. It's very limited sample size that I've seen him in the URC, but he's looked the business when I have seen him. Backs, you got Reinach, Grant Williams, and Herschel Yankees as your backup 9s. Obviously, Jaden Hendrickse would have been a perfect guy to be getting some minutes, but he got injured against Argentina. And then Faf de Klerk's got a hip injury. He's going to keep him out for some time. So they're going to have to build a bit of depth, which is not a bad thing, because Reinach, even though he's 31, has only got 18 caps at international level. Herschel Yankees is 25. He's got 18 caps as well. So a lot of the minutes tend to go to Faf, so it's not a bad thing to have somebody else getting some. Grant Williams was a bit of a surprise to me, but I'm not sure who the next guy would have been. I know Ambrose Papier has kind of been there or thereabouts, but his stock seemed to have fallen a fair bit in recent times. I know Van Sale, before he went to Saracens, was in the Springbok mix for some time, but Williams, has he even been starting for the Sharks? I don't know, someone correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but interesting addition to the mix anyway. Pollard and Elton Yankees are your 2 10s, and that's one area that Jacques kind of said they haven't really been able to build any depth in recent times. Maybe, I'm not sure if he mentioned it kind of as a regret, but he basically said that Mornay Steyn, who's now retired from internationals, was the right man for the job against the Lions, and maybe now's a time that they need to start getting somebody in the mix. But I mean, like Volita's out with a long-term injury. He's kind of one of those guys. Damien Willemse, they seem to be kind of keen to have him as a fullback. Hasn't quite ever clicked at 10 from what I've seen of him. It's, again, limited sample size. They talked about not really having a young up-and-coming 10 on the cards. Again, small sample size, but Borta Chamberlain has looked pretty good in the URC thus far, but I think he's only got a handful of games. He's like 22, but I don't know, maybe at least that's one guy who is fit and seemingly playing pretty well for his club anyway. That doesn't mean you should chuck them straight into the Springboks. Obviously, you got to earn your stripes, but as Jacques Nienaber said, Pollard's still only 27, so he's still, got a few years left in the tank. Midfielders, De Allende, Creel, and plus kind of Frans Steyn as a utility guy. Interestingly, like and De Allende, I think that's one of the areas of the Springbok squad where they had very little kind of variation. They don't seem to, like Jesse Creel got bugger all game time, right? That's an area maybe you would like to see somebody else. I forgot to mention Kerwin Bosch as well. He doesn't seem to be in the best form in terms of 10s. But midfielders, I know Jesse Creel's there, but it always seems to be De Allende and is that kind of the new version of like Nono and Smith for New Zealand when those guys just got games virtually every week? I don't know. Andre Esterhuizen's been playing really well in the Premiership, I'll just say that much. So they have got other guys outside of the squad. I mentioned Frans Steyn, Afpelele, Fassi, Mapimpi, Nkosi, Leroux, and Willemse are the guys who are the outside backs. So no other new names. Obviously, Colby is still out with an injury, which is unfortunate. It'd be nice to see Fassi get some proper minutes because I think he's had, 2 caps? Well, they're both on the wing. It'd be nice to see him get some time at fullback, but I'm not sure if they want to give Willemse, who's again only 23 as well, maybe he needs some more time. It's hard. I mean, I know Fassi, I'm on the Fassi fan train as well because the guy is electric, but yeah, you've got multiple guys you need to develop because Leroux's 32, form kind of comes and goes a wee bit, but he's certainly way more experienced than anybody else you've got, and the only way you change that is by giving somebody else more time. So, yeah, average age of the squad, 28 in the forwards, 28 in the backs. Average caps, 33, so a bit more experienced and a bit older than like maybe the Aussie squad. But yeah. Who else have they omitted? I mean, there's Tyrone Green's been looking really good for Harlequins in the Premiership as well. Warwick Halant, man, honest to goodness, that guy's been electric. I know he's one of those guys who's been in the Springboks before and didn't force his way into the squad. He didn't play so well that put Leroux out of a job, obviously. But I still feel like he's a guy who needs another crack, man. He had a long period out with injury. He just seems to be playing really well. Like the Stormers have had a couple of ordinary games, but Halant has still looked more than ordinary. Anyway, you know what I mean? Extraordinary? Don't know about that, but he's looked bloody good. So, yeah, I don't know. 3 fixtures, away to Wales, away to Scotland, obviously, and away to England. So 3 pretty bloody big games. If you guys are in the States, those are all on Flow Rugby. I'll put a link to the Flow in the description affiliate thing. Those guys seem to be pretty good. They've got heaps of rugby on, all the autumn games seemingly, or at least most of them. So that's kind of happy days. But what do you guys reckon? What's going to be a success record for the Boks? I think in the Rugby Championship, 3 wins, 3 losses. Is that a pass? Was that a fail? Maybe a fail, mildly, but it was kind of a bit of ended on the right note with a win over the All Blacks. But what do they need to do here? Do they need to go 3 from 3 to really kind of assert themselves as the number 1 team? Do they need to play some of these guys who are uncapped or single-digit caps and maybe risk losing a couple of games, but investing those minutes in for the Rugby World Cup in a couple of years? You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.